This is the second part of my guilds tutorial. Two of the more interesting guilds are the Swordsmiths Guild and the Alchemists Guild. So let's cover the Swordsmiths Guild first. Let's see, where do I have a Swordsmiths Guild? Definitely I have one at Hildesheim, the highest level. A lower level would be in Bonn. First level Swordsmiths Guild, capable of upgrading melee weapons, +1 blade upgrade. So this is the melee bonus that, you can see the sword down on the left-hand side of the unit thumbnail, the unit icon. Some of the units can have this sword, for example, halberdiers and pikemen. This gives, or it is a sign of a +1 attack for that unit. So if that unit previously had an 8 attack, now with the sword, it will have a 9 attack. So this is the melee blade bonus, and so the Swordsmiths Guild gives an extra 1 point of attack. Is that important? Depends, it doesn't hurt. This is for the level 1 Swordsmiths Guild, but there's also a level 2, which I have at Hildesheim. For example, the Great Swordsmiths Guild. And that gives again just a 1+ melee bonus, but in addition, you get an experience bonus for knights recruited. Knights means cavalry, so that's all cavalry, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check. Heavy cavalry. So presumably arquebusiers don't get +1 experience, but they do get +1 melee blade bonus. So they get the melee blade bonus. So they both get something, both the arquebusiers and the cuirassiers. So the Swordsmiths Guild then gives 1 extra attack point to units trained in that settlement, not just recruited, but also the units trained, represented by the sword icon near the lower right corner of the unit's thumbnail. And the guild can be triggered by building the militia armor. That has a big effect. Or by training or recruiting general bodyguard units, cuirassiers of any kind, swordsmen of any type. In addition, Silesian engineers provide a small bonus to the trigger for the guild, but they can only be recruited in some parts of what is today Poland, what was in the past Silesia. Melee cavalry, such as Greifenreiter, Husaria, and Hackapelita, can give a bonus. Also, French musketeers of the Guard cavalry, which is a type of arquebusiers, can give a trigger bonus. Training also, in addition, any kind of cavalry in the settlement, including mercenary cavalry, such as the Piccolomini cuirassiers, or building cavalry barracks, can also add to the triggers for the Swordsmiths Guild. So that's how you trigger it. The Alchemists Guild next. The Alchemists Guild has 2 levels, the first of which gives 1 experience bonus to all gunpowder units and a trade income bonus of 1 to just that settlement. The next level up, the Masters Alchemists Guild, gives an additional 1 experience bonus faction-wide to all newly recruited, newly trained gunpowder units, and an additional 1 trade bonus faction-wide. So that is to represent advancements in metallurgy and chemistry, which will have a knock-on effect throughout your faction. So the Alchemists Guild can be triggered by building cannon foundries of any kind, any level, by recruiting mortars or cannons, recruiting arquebusiers, cuirassiers of any type, or training Italian Piccolomini mercenary cavalry. Alchemists recruitable from mines gave a very high bonus, obviously just to getting the guild at mines. French musketeers of the Guard Cavalry gave a bonus recruiting épinards. A ship with ship cannons gives a very high bonus. Yeah, bonus to triggering the guild. So in addition, recruiting run-of-the-mill musketeers, just the regular ones, provides a low bonus. Better quality musketeers that are not free upkeep musketeers, such as the Spanish Musketeers or the Swedish Blue and Yellow Regiment type musketeers, the Dutch Elite Musketeers Regiment, and Casimir von Nassau-Dietz, the Tyrolers. All of these provide a higher bonus than free upkeep musketeers. So recruiting them in that settlement or training them, retraining them, can also add to the triggers. And in addition, training dragoons in a settlement, which may have been recruited, let's say, as mercenaries, can also trigger the Alchemists Guild. So a lot of things can trigger the Alchemists Guild, and it's a nice guild to have. Theologians Guild. So the Theologians Guild can be triggered by building religious buildings or by recruiting priests, and allows the recruitment of the Jesuits unit. In addition, it allows the recruitment of 1 extra priest from that settlement. So if the settlement already has a religious building, the guild adds 1 priest. If it doesn't have a religious building, then only 1 priest can be recruited from the settlement. Yeah. So this is an extra priest to whatever can be recruited within the settlement. Now, if it is the second level guild, the Master Theologians Guild, that is the Jesuits College, that guild also allows 2 extra priests to be recruited from that settlement with that guild, so that a total of 3 priests can be potentially recruited from that settlement. There is no experience bonus for the priests being recruited. The Horsebreeders Guild has, again, 2 levels. The first level gives an experience bonus to cavalry recruited from that settlement. The Master Horsebreeders Guild gives an additional experience bonus faction-wide. So the Horsebreeders Guild can be triggered by building cavalry barracks or racing tracks, by holding races, and by recruiting or training cavalry, including general bodyguards. It is not possible to trigger spy or assassins guilds. So you cannot have a spy guild or a thieves guild, and you cannot have assassins guilds in the 1648 mod. And that covers all the guilds. The Master's Guild can only be built in one settlement per faction, whereas the ordinary first level guild can be built in principle in every settlement. It is possible to have a second settlement with a Master's Guild if it is captured from an enemy faction. So in that case, faction-wide bonuses are effective from both settlements. That is, the faction-wide bonuses are doubled. So that's everything about the guilds, and next I will probably do a tutorial on trades and ancillaries. Until then, thank you for watching.